someone.
I'd like to introduce you all this morning to Bob Kittle. He flew all the way from Utah to be with us this morning, so I'm just going to give a little spiel about who he is and what he's done. Bob Kittle is an engaging and highly sought-after speaker and trainer specializing in helping people grow and enhance their memory. Bob interacts with his audiences using humor and high energy that makes people sit up, listen in, and learn all while having a ball. He's one of the featured speakers on the National Get Motivated Tour and has spoken to audiences in over 300 cities nationally and internationally. Bob has toured with people such as Colin Powell, Tom Hopkins, and Terry Bradshaw, along with other political and motivational and sports celebrities. His message of hope helps people find success in their personal lives. His approach inspires people to act today and to make a game plan for successful living. Bob's amazing memory methods are fun to learn. When attendees leave, they have a greater ability to remember things like faces and names and other complex information. Bob started his speaking business after college, and he has trained tens of thousands of college students over 100 major universities and how to remember information for the academics. Bob Kittle has spoken for the past 30 years at events featuring former U.S. Presidents Gerald Ford, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and George W. Bush. Bob Kittle is a Utah motivational speaker who connects with interaction, humor, and energy and makes your entire event fun. Watch as your confidence skyrockets when he helps you begin to realize the true potential of your minds. These techniques apply to whatever you want to remember. Ladies and gents, please give me a warm welcome to Bob Kittle.
Ovation, a standing ovation when I was 19 years old. 19 years old, 70,000 people jumped to their feet and gave my performance a standing ovation. It was at Arizona State University, the big football stadium. They were all cheering for me because I was on the other football team and I just missed a field goal. Yeah, they were pretty happy. I wasn't happy. It was on television, and I think every human being I knew on the planet saw me miss that field goal. I thought that was the lowest point of my entire life. I was wrong. 4 minutes later, I got my second standing ovation when I missed my second field goal. Guys, how many of you have ever suffered disappointment? Can I see your hands? You know what? After I missed that second field goal, I thought life was over. I thought I'll never get through college, but I was wrong. And I had a number of things that happened in my life. I thought, that's it. Life won't. You know what? I love what Paul Harvey said. He said, I hope one day I have enough of what this world calls success, so somebody asks me the secret. I will say simply this: I get up when I'm knocked down. But sometimes we can't get up by ourselves, and that's why we're all in this together. We all take our turns getting knocked down. So to be a school, to be a team, we help each other up. And by the way, when I was going to school, I had a tough time memorizing. How many of you could use a better memory? How many of you can't remember if you could use a better memory? Hey, guys, out of curiosity, how many of you just think about doing a little bit of studying and already you're tired? How many of you get to the third page of the book and you go, I don't even remember what's on the first page of the book? In fact, what book is this? Is anybody absent-minded? You forget where you put things? In fact, has this ever happened? You're sitting there, you're watching television. A thought occurs to you, you jump up out of your chair, you dash into the other room, and then you stop. And you're thinking to yourself, why am I here? Do you ever start looking around the room for clues? Have you ever wondered why you got to go all the way back to your chair and sit down before you remember why you got up in the first place? Well, you guys, when I was going to school, I had a tough time memorizing, and you know what my mother taught me? You can learn anything in a book. She goes, if you want to be better at talking to other people, you can learn that in a book. I was a pole vaulter, where you run with a pole and leap over a bar. I found out there were books that taught you how to do that. Most of my competitors weren't looking at those books. They weren't looking up how to be a better vaulter, how to be in better shape. And so I found out that there were books on how to have a better memory. And my GPA went from 3.0 to 3.8, and I cut my memorization time in half. And I thought, how come everyone doesn't know how to do this? You want to know a great secret of life? Learn something new and share it with others. I started teaching other kids how to have a better memory, and it turned into a business where now I've trained all over the world on how to have a better memory. So I'm going to teach you how to do it. One of the keys is what's called visualization. What do I mean by that? Everybody close your eyes. Go ahead, take a second and close your eyes. Guys, this isn't television. I can see you. Close your eyes. Now visually get into your dream car, the car you hope to own one day. And want you to start down the freeway in your dream car. Now dream big. If you're in a Ford Escort or a minivan, get out and get into something else. Now I want you to drive up to an elephant. I want you to look at the elephant. Say what color the elephant is. Everybody right now, what color is the elephant? Okay, what color is the car you're driving? Okay, open your eyes. Hey, you guys, how many of you, when you close your eyes, you can see pictures in vivid detail and color just like you're watching TV? Raise your hands high and just hold them there for a moment. Look around. Not everybody's hand is up. We all process differently. We all learn differently. How many of you are like me? When you close your eyes, you can kind of see a picture, but it's really fuzzy. Who's left? Like that. Raise your hands. By the way, 5% can't see anything. They see a black wall, so maybe visual memory is not going to be the best for you. Maybe audio memory. Like you go, if I say it, I remember it. Or kinesthetic memory. If I write it down, I remember it. But I want to just introduce you to visual memory, and let's just see how well you do. So, the first thing I want everyone to remember is a bonnet. Everybody say bonnet. Bonnet. Everybody take your hands like this and tie a little bonnet to your head. Go ahead. Tie a little bonnet to your head. I see somebody helping their friend out with theirs. That's kind of cool. Okay, after bonnet, I want you to remember giraffe. Here's how you will remember. I want you to see a bonnet on a giraffe's head. Everybody close your eyes and tie the bonnet to a giraffe's head. Say giraffe. Open your eyes. After giraffe is telephone booth. I want you to visualize a giraffe that's stuck in a telephone booth. Close your eyes. See the giraffe get stuck in the telephone booth. Say telephone booth. Everybody stay with me, okay? Don't talk to each other. Take a look. After telephone booth is steamroller. Don't worry about the giraffe. He's okay. Picture a steamroller crushing a telephone booth. Close your eyes. Say steamroller. Can you hear it going? Everybody go. Open your eyes. After steamroller is boat. Visualize a steamroller go into the water and become a boat. And you're going, how's that thing float? The steamrolling boat. Close your eyes. See it happening. There's the steamroller. It's floating. It's a steamrolling boat. Say boat. Boat. After boat is snake. Take a look. There's thousands of snakes on your boat. Everybody get on the boat. Close your eyes. And the snakes are chasing you. What kind of snakes are chasing you? Say it out loud. Okay. After snake is professor. You went to college and you go, oh my gosh, all the professors are snakes. Close your eyes. And I want you to say professor. Okay, now you guys, I do this at schools all over the country, and one of the things sometimes they have to apply it to something, and how about the original colonies of the United States? So everybody see that door at the back? That's where I'm going to put Delaware, right on that door. And if I say the word deli all by itself, it sounds like a sandwich, like a deli sandwich. Everybody picture deli sandwiches all over that door, and I want you to chew on the door. See yourself chewing on the deli sandwich. Say Delaware. Above it is an exit sign. That's where we're going to put Pennsylvania. Now, if I say Pennsylvania, the first part of it's a pencil, right? So everybody pretend to pick up a pencil and throw it at the exit sign. Do this. This is called kinesthetic. Come on, guys. Throw it. What color was the pencil you just threw? Okay, after that, we're going to go to the clock. And that's where we're going to put New Jersey. Everybody say New Jersey. Not an old Jersey. This is a New Jersey. So everybody pick up your New Jersey. Come on. Participate, you guys. And I want you to wrap that New Jersey over the clock. And then I want you to get your arms in it and you're hanging from the New Jersey. Come on, everybody do a little bouncing. Okay. Let's do one more. Georgia. Everybody say Georgia. Now, Georgia sounds like George. So everybody picture George crawling across that screen, hanging from it, swinging around. All right. Now, try this on your own later in the day. Oh, before we do that, I got to show you something. Okay? I'm standing at half court. I got a basketball in my hand. And here's what happens next. Oh! That has nothing to do with anything, but isn't that cool? I'm going to figure out how to put that in one day. Okay, so everyone together in a loud, clear voice. What did you tie to your head? A?
Bonnet.
The bonnet is also on a?
Giraffe.
The giraffe is in a what? And it got hit by a?
Steamroller.
After steamroller is a?
Boat.
Oh, wait, it's covered with what?
Snakes.
Well, one of them is what? Okay, nobody say a word. Everybody give everyone a chance to come up with it on their own. Don't say a word. Look at the door. If you know what state that is, raise your hand. As soon as you know the state, raise your hand. Okay, it is the state of what?
Delaware.
Don't say a word. Look at the exit sign, but don't say it. Let everybody have a chance. Look at it. As soon as you know what it is, raise your hand.
It is the state of what?
Pennsylvania.
Don't say a word. When you know it's on the clock, raise your hand. Okay, it is the state of what?
New Jersey.
Okay, don't say a word. When you know its state is right there, raise your hand. Okay, give yourself a round of applause. You're doing really well. I have had so many people go, I don't have a good memory, and then they rip through this, and just like me, well, you didn't know you had a great memory. So I show people how to remember terms, definitions, formulas, equations, names and faces, anything you got to memorize. I know how to make it quicker. And I'm going to donate that to the school because that's one of the things I do. And I'll give you that a little bit later. But before I go any further, this is my daughter, Dolly. She cracks me up. She saw her little sister fixing her hair. She goes, Anna, why are you so concerned with how you look? Look at Dad. He doesn't care what people think. One time I was working out. I was really, really sore. Dad, you look sore. Dad, just take drugs. You're at the end of your life anyway. But you know, she's a sweetheart. She's 23 years old. You know what she gave me for Father's Day last year? The Daddy-Daughter Memory Book. She filled a notebook up with memories. Dad, do you remember when I was a little girl and you took me to the golf course to see the baby ducks? Dad, do you remember when I was a teenager and I would call you at night to go get an ice cream? I knew you were getting out of bed, but you never complained. Dad, you'll never know how much those talks meant to me. You want to knock someone's socks off? Send them a note of appreciation or a text of appreciation before you go to bed every night. And lift somebody's spirits. Send it to a teacher, send it to a coach, send it to one of your parents. They'll never forget. You know what, you guys? When you send something negative to someone, it sits with them for a long time. Send something that lifts them because it lifts you too. Well, one of the messages I tell all the schools wherever I am is you have great power to lift those that are around you. Now, are there a lot of people that are sad at times? Yes or no? Yes. We all have our turn, right? But you have great power as a teenager. And I had this one kid say to me, I'm just a teenager. What difference can I possibly make? Here's how I know you can make a difference. 10 years ago, my doctor called me and he told me the little tumor he had taken out of my chest had spread from somewhere else in my body. It was called a metastatic adenocarcinoma. He says, Bob, I'm sorry to tell you this. You have 1 year to live. Now, he was wrong, but I didn't know that for 28 days. What would you do if you found out you had a year to live? I learned about appreciation, about being grateful. So I picked up my video camera and I started filming. Hey guys, I can see. I picked up my video camera and I said, kids, I just found out I've got a year to live and I want you to know I am grateful for every day of life I have with you. And then I got practical. I called the dentist and canceled my dentist appointment because I thought, I'm not going there anymore. And at the time, Dolly was 14. Who's 14 years old in here? 14 years old. She said, Dad, I heard the news. Dad, sit down. I got to ask you a question. I said, okay, sweetie, what is it? Dad, do you have life insurance? I said, yeah, why? Any chance we could get some money for some clothes? I mean, not today, but you know. Well, for 28 days, I lived with the news it was all over. 28 days later, the doctor calls me back and says, Bob, we made a mistake. You're okay. I was grateful. And then I got practical. I got my dentist appointment back. And then I took Dolly shopping for clothes because I didn't want her to be disappointed that I wasn't going to die. But would that be a difficult 28 days, yes or no? Somebody once said, when you're in a hard place, you might be in the middle of your next inspirational story. There was a little girl in my neighborhood, 13 years old. Who's 13? 13 years old. When she heard about me in that 28 days, she showed up at my door with a plate of cookies, and that little girl changed my life when she said these words, call me anytime, day or night. I know what you're going through, and I think I can help. And in that moment of connection with a 13-year-old, she lifted the spirits of an international motivational speaker in his day of need. And we all take our turn, I guarantee that. And from that day forward, I started asking myself, what am I doing with my life? And so I wake up every morning and I ask this question, whose life can I change today? Whose life can I cheer up today? And you guys, sometimes it's an audience. Sometimes it's 30,000 people, but more often than not, it's one person that I meet at McDonald's behind the counter. It's one person I meet in line at the airport. My goal is if I meet you, you're going to smile. I'm going to lift every single person's spirits there wherever I go. You guys, 3 days ago, I got on a plane at 5:30 in the morning from Salt Lake to Minneapolis, and then from Minneapolis to Cedar Rapids, and then I got picked up, taken down to Sigourney, and then in the morning each day I drive about 45 minutes to an hour to come speak to students just like you, and I do it for free. And people go, why would you do that? Because there's a 13-year-old who impacted my life. And that's my goal every single day. Because I found out that's what joy is, helping others. Learning something new and helping others. By the way, every one of you is really good at something. Somebody in here is great at math. Go find somebody who's not good at math and teach them math. And watch how wonderful that's going to be. Somebody in here is a basketball star. We've got 6th graders that would love to learn from you how to dribble a basketball, how to be better at it. We all have our different talents. And we can all be helping each other, and we're all in this together, instead of trying to be apart. Now, every time I speak, one of the questions I ask is, who could use some cheering up? And I actually found a volunteer. What's your name again? Haley. Come on up. Haley or Haley? Haley. Come on up here, Haley. All right. I'll bet you didn't think this was going to happen today, did you? Up there. Okay. Now I do this wherever I go, all over the country. So Haley, could use a little cheering up. Let's start right here. Right. Would you guys like to help me cheer Haley up? Here's what we're going to do. On the count of 3, let's give her a standing ovation. Oh, not just a normal ovation. A standing ovation. An ovation meant to cheer her up. An ovation to knock her socks off. An ovation where people outside are going, who's the famous rock star on that stage? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's go! Hey guys, Haley's feeling better. But not only is she feeling better, who else is feeling better? Isn't that amazing? You can't give kindness away, it's always returned. If you're ever feeling down or depressed or lonely, go do something for someone. In fact, let me show you what this looks like professionally, because I first learned this little principle back in 1980. So wherever I go, I'm going to start with the Georgia Dome, 30,000 people. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's go! Hey, are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's go! I got one more thing to cheer you up. Remember that $100 bill? I'm going to give that to you. Is that okay? Sorry, Haley, we're on my punches right there. Okay. I think I've done this about 3,000 times over the years, because it's about an average of 100 speeches a year. But I want to show you something. Doesn't it kind of look like that guy on stage has a lot of self-confidence? That's me, just a few years ago. Doesn't it look like he's got a lot of self-confidence, he's invincible, he's got it all together? It kind of looks that way, doesn't it? What you don't know is I was hiding behind a mask. Do people hide behind masks pretending that everything's fine, but it really isn't? Yeah, my mask, if I took my mask off, was depression, insecurity, I was sad. But when I was on stage, you would have never known that. And it got so bad in 2011 that I started having panic attacks. I was okay on stage, but then I'd walk off, and I didn't even know what the heck a panic attack was. It came out of nowhere, and it wouldn't go away. And I finally had to put the mask down and say, hey, can somebody help me? I can't do this by myself. And you guys, because other people helped me, I'm still here today. So I learned that, you know what, don't suffer silently. If there's yuck going on inside, like in your tummy or darkness in your head, let somebody know, okay? Don't hold on to it yourself. So anyway, let me just tell you a few of the things I learned to come out of that. The first thing I had to learn was that I had what are called repressed memories from my childhood, which is if something happened and I couldn't take it emotionally, I would bury it, and I kept it with me my entire life. And it impacted me. I was OCD. Well, one of my kids said, Dad, our whole lives you've been like a mosquito on cocaine. go, 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 driven. You were ridiculous. It was like walking on eggshells around you. And you had a short temper. Dad, you're totally different now. Now, I look like a mosquito on cocaine on stage sometimes because I know how to keep your attention. But if you're talking to me individually, he goes, Dad, you talk quietly now. He said, you sat here for an hour and you've never sat still for more than 5 or 10 minutes. Dad, are you on drugs? If you are, this is a really good one. That they call it the old dad and the new dad. When I healed those childhood memories from under 25 years old, because you have the child brain, okay, everything started getting better. Let me give you an example of that. When I was in middle school, there was a bully, and you know what I found out about bullies? They're very, very insecure. That's why they're a bully. You don't know what's going on in their lives and what's going on at home. I found out that people who make fun of other people and try to tear them down comes from insecurity. You know, I started to have compassion for them instead of judging them. Well, one day, there was a kid, when I was in middle school, picked me up like this and put his fist back ready to hit me. Do you think that might cause a scar that might go with me throughout my life? It wasn't the kid who was ready to hit me, it was the 7 kids sitting over there that were all laughing. And I felt shame and rage, and I buried it. When I found the memory, at 54 years old, I sobbed for a few hours over that. And then that wasn't the worst one from school. The worst one from school was the day I didn't do something. I was a senior in high school and I saw something going on behind the school. I could have stopped and I didn't stop it. I was so ashamed of myself that when I found the memory as a 54-year-old, I sobbed every day for 4 hours a day. I couldn't stop until that was healed and it came out. So guys, when you're sending texts to somebody or you're being mean to someone, you have no idea with your child brains the impact you might be creating in somebody's life. It destroyed my marriage, it destroyed almost my relationship with my children, it destroyed one of my jobs until I got healed. So watch out for each other. It's that important to watch out for each other. Is that okay to share that with you? Okay. Now let me tell you some of the things I did to get better after the panic went away. Then I just had high anxiety. But I thought, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm going to figure this anxiety stuff out. And I learned all about positivity. You know what I found out, you guys? I was a complainer. You see, you know what a complainer does? No matter what's going on, they would go, it would be better if, right? It would be better if I was in 8th grade. It'd be better if I was in 9th grade. It was better if I was a junior. It'd be better if I could get her to go out with me. It'd be better if she'd stop calling me. It's always, it would be better if, right? He taught me how to do this. Every time you go, it would be better, you catch yourself and you go, my life rocks. Everyone say, my life rocks.
My life rocks.
I'll tell you why. It could be worse. No matter where you are in your life, you're between better and worse. And you know what? You have what's called a program going to, it would be better than. It took me 4 or 5 months of reminding myself. Every time I go, it'd be better if they had more pizza in the, backstage. I go, oh, it could be worse. My life rocks. So I practiced that and it eventually changed or rewired my brain. And now I'm a very positive person where I used to be pretty darn negative. In fact, there was a young lady who told me this. She said, positive people tend to make more money and have more friends than negative people. Would you believe that's true? Positive people actually live longer and have better lives because it's not destroying your cells at the cellular level. But I asked her, I said, you don't need this positivity stuff. You are positive. Have you always been positive your whole life? She goes, oh no. When I was 13 years old, my teacher asked us to take a piece of paper home with a pencil, and every time we complained, mark it. By the end of the day, my whole paper was filled up with little splashes. I was a complainer. She goes, you know what? I decided that's enough. And she goes, I set a goal to go 1 hour without complaining, then 2 hours without complaining, then a day without complaining, then a week without complaining. She goes, I never complain anymore. And guys, that's what I've learned too. Let me show you an example. That is a car wreck that I got in 3 years ago. My friend was driving 70 miles an hour. He lost control. We rolled twice very violently. I got thrown into the middle and he said, are you okay? I said, I don't think so. I can't move my head without all this pain shooting through. I think I have a broken neck. So they got me out of the car. I also have a big gash in the back of my head. And I want you to listen to what I said. Here I am, thinking I have a broken neck in Mexico, in the middle of nowhere, and here's what I said. Hello everyone, I'm grateful. I just want you to know that. I just got my first car accident. Re-rolled twice. Great fun. And my phone is bent. So then I get to the hospital in Mexico, and after about an hour, I discovered that their x-ray machine doesn't work, so they put me on a gurney and rolled me across the street to the other hospital. Why go around the curve when you can go over it, right? Then one of the guys notices the sun's in my eyes, so he goes to put a blanket over my face. I go, don't do that, they'll think I'm dead. And then right here, I'm pointing up and I'm laughing uncontrollably. Guys, look, there's 2 vultures circling right over my head. This can't be good. Okay, was I positive, yes or no? Was I grateful? I didn't complain, and I noticed that day I changed. I made everybody laugh the whole day. I was having the time of my life. I found out later it wasn't a broken neck, it was a broken clavicle. The seatbelt saved my life. Guys, wear your seatbelts. Yeah. So, here's what I found out. I became a very positive, grateful, anxious person, but I still was looking on how to solve it, that life was getting better. And then I learned happiness. There's a guy who wrote the book, If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Happy? From the University of Texas, a professor. I spoke at an event with him. And he said, there are things we can actually do to help us feel a little bit better. Would you like to learn a couple of them, you guys? Yeah. Okay, here's one. Everyone stand up. And what we're going to do is, it's called a power pose. We're going to stand like we just broke a world record and stand there with that feeling. Yeah! By the way, there's another power pose. Now, I see a couple of cynics out there going, I don't want to do it. I like being miserable. Okay, no, stand like you're Superman or Wonder Woman. Oh my God. Did you know that they have actually done studies on this? Guys, they have found that if you will do these power poses 10 minutes before you go into an interview for a job, you will have more confidence. Now, don't do it in the foyer where everybody can see you, okay? Another thing you can do is smile. If you don't feel like smiling, there's something about if you just smile, it releases neurotransmitters and your body just starts feeling better. So everybody hold a smile. Just do that. Even if you're not in a good mood, just hold it. Your brain's going, something's going on out there. It's fine. Okay, sit down. I'll give you one more. I learned this from Loretta LaRouche. Loretta LaRouche. She taught psychology at Harvard for 15 years. She studied stress for over 40 years. She said every day we need a good laugh. And she said not one of these little cynical laughs like, okay, you want me to laugh? You know people like that, right? Fine, I'll laugh. This is the kind of person who's driving and goes, can you believe all the cars? Well, it is a road. This is where the cars come. But she said we need to have a belly laugh. You know, like this. In fact, everyone grab your belly. Come on, grab your belly. Not your friend's belly, grab your own belly. And what we're going to do, you're going to feel the laughter. You're going to feel the laughter in your belly, like ha ha ha. So we're going to do that for 15 seconds. Ready? Go! Ha ha ha! In Canada with 5,000 people in the audience, they couldn't stop for 15 minutes. They lost it. But we can do things to cheer ourselves up. Okay, so moving on from there, I want you to take a look at this. This is a snow globe. Okay? Can you see clearly when the snow globe is all mixed up? Yes or no? What happens after every storm? After every storm, it settles, right? Guys, this is the same with your emotions and thoughts. When you've got a million thoughts going through your head and you've got a lot of emotion going on, it's like shaking up that snow globe. Can you see clearly? Yes or no? No. When somebody's angry, can they see clearly? Yes or no? No. Oh, now then, I'm going to let you in on a little secret that I didn't learn until I was in my 40s. I always thought it was other people that made me mad. Well, that guy who cut me off in traffic, he made me mad. Oh, my little brother or sister who did that, they're not making you mad. The madness is in us. Because somebody cuts somebody off in traffic, one person loses it, and the other 3 people are going, dude, what's the big deal? So, to always understand, the person who's upset is the one who needs to look inside. They're the one with the problem. But we try to blame someone else. You made me mad. Okay? By the way, if somebody's mad, there's no blood in your frontal lobe. Listen carefully to this. There's no blood in your frontal lobe. You cannot reason. Have you ever noticed when you're mad or someone else is, you can't reason with them? True or false? You have to wait till they calm down, till that snow globe gets settled. And if you let it settle, you will learn that anger is a secondary emotion covering pain. If somebody's angry, they're really in pain. Something's happened in their life that they're feeling pain, but they're going to try to blame you for it. Guys, a sports psychologist who works with the NFL was asked, what do you do to get the kicker ready to kick the winning field goal in the Super Bowl? He says, I don't get him ready to kick the winning field goal in the Super Bowl. I get him ready to be okay either way. Because if the fans are mad if he misses, who's got the problem? The fans. If the coach is mad, who's got the problem? Now, don't tell the coach in that moment, because he doesn't have any blood in his frontal lobe at that moment either. But it's something to learn, to understand, to start taking responsibility for how we feel when we feel it. Okay? Think of a teddy bear. Anybody ever have a teddy bear or a blanket that made you feel good? Let's put the teddy bear up on the stage. Is there really a magical property that comes out of a teddy bear that makes anybody feel anything? No. There's nothing that comes out of there. Be a scientist. So where's the beautiful feeling coming from, you guys? Inside. Hey, newsflash. It's always there, but we can't see it sometimes because our brain is making too much noise. What magical teddy bears are people chasing in the world because they think something out there will make them happy? Okay, money, cars, positions, degrees. Are there people that get all of that and they're still miserable? Yes or no? You know why? They're looking in the wrong direction. It's inside, but we have to quiet the mind. Guys, after every emotional storm you've ever had, didn't it calm down again? Let me show you how this works. I got in a cab 2 years ago with a friend of mine who's known me for 15 years. When we got in the cab in Alaska, the guy says, where are you going? I told him the name of the hotel, and he hit the gas like we were the Daytona 500. Boom! Right out of it. So I leaned forward and I said, sir, my nerves are kind of shot. Can we go a little slower? He got triggered. He slammed on the brakes. He smacked the steering wheel with both hands. He goes, hey, it's been a year. You should be over it. Can anybody feel a little trigger going on inside of you? But I had practiced pausing. It's called the power of the pause. When somebody is angry or we feel that little, we pause. And in that pause, you're going to see things you didn't see before. And I saw in that man that day, I saw pain. And I had compassion for that person instead of getting angry because my triggers were healed. So I waited for this. He's yelling. He finally goes like this. The blood just came back. You know what, sir, you're probably right, but my nerves are kind of shot. Could we go a little bit slower, please? He went, oh, okay. And then he became my best friend all the way to the hotel, telling me all the places I needed to see before we left. When we got out of the car, my friend looked at me and says, Bob, what's going on with you? I said, what? Bob, 2 years ago, you would have been triggered and you would have been screaming at that guy. You would have gone to DEFCON 1. What is going on with you? I have been practicing that power of pause and seeing what was really going on instead of reacting to what was going on. Is that helpful, you guys? Okay, so the power of pause. So by the way, here's a gift for you. Everyone take out your phones if you have a phone with you. This is my memory course. It's streaming online. It's the part in the middle. You go to this website, you enter in that code, and it's 3.5 hours of content of how to memorize anything. There's nothing for sale. You can't buy anything from me, okay? That's yours. If you want to know more about how I went from panic to peace, that's what my TED Talk's about, quieting the mind through connection. So you can learn about that too if you want. Also, you'll notice this Instagram, Bob Memory. Let me tell you a little bit about that one. I was at a junior high school 3 years ago, and there was a kid toward the front row, and he goes, "Hal, you're nobody." This was interesting. What do you mean? You didn't speak to 5 million people, you're nobody. Well, why do you think that? Because you don't have a following on Instagram. He literally said that. I go, really? He goes, yeah, if you're this famous speaker, you'd have a following on Instagram. So for 3 years, I asked my audiences wherever I spoke in North America, hey guys, follow me on Instagram, Bob Memory. I'm not going to follow you back. In fact, I'm trying to teach kids to get off of social media, but it's the only way they'll give me credibility to get into schools. There have actually been principals that look at my social media before they'll let me come in. Like, who is this guy? So, last year, I went to that same junior high school, and there were some girls toward the front, and I said, hey, check out Bob Memory. Wow, you got 11,000 followers. That's great. Well, what if I had 3 followers? Oh, well, that would be bad. Well, not bad. It just means you don't know anybody. I said, really? Do you think I really know 11,000 people? Well, and then she got stuck. You guys, you've been hoodwinked into thinking that your followers, that gives you worth. You're already a great worth. But the media and economics and money has tried to teach you kids that, no, you gotta have a following. We gotta get you on that phone so we can sell stuff. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. How many of you have heard that maybe a smartphone isn't the best thing for you? Who's kind of heard that? Just raise your hands. And yet, how many of you are still using it anyway? You know why? Because it's what's called an addiction. It's literally an addiction that's been roped into you. It's called a variable reward. This is why people get addicted to pulling a slot machine in Las Vegas, because they get nothing, they get nothing, they get nothing, they win something. Nothing, 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 they win something. Nothing. And that is what addicts people into an activity. Smartphone addiction causes an imbalance in the brain that makes people tired and anxious. I'm sorry, is anybody tired or anxious on a regular basis? Watch this one. How many of you have trouble sleeping at night? Did you know it's now the #2 complaint to doctors all across the civilized world? Look at this one. Smartphone addiction could be changing your brain. 69% of parents, how many of you have parents, now we're not blaming them because they've been hoodwinked too, how many of you have parents that seem to keep ignoring you because they keep looking at their phone? Raise your hands. A whole generation of abandonment. Who's got the phone in my mouth? Okay, can you be my volunteer for a second? Okay. I want you to pretend I'm one of your parents or a teacher, and I want you to ask me a question and be persistent. Go ahead and stand up. What's your name? Nick. Okay, go ahead, Nick. You just got home, and you're going to ask me something. Just wait a second. Hey! Okay. How do you feel? Okay. Oh, by the way, has anybody ever noticed that we get ticked off with our electronics? Okay, now let's start this. It's all over again. You walk in. Go ahead. Oh, hold on a second. Let me put that away. Well, actually, I'm not sure we're going to have supper here or we're going to go out and do something. Okay, does this feel way different? Way different.
So my dad doesn't have a smartphone, so I've never done that.
Okay.
He barely knows how to use it.
Welcome to some of other people's lives. Yeah, he doesn't want to use it. It's actually a good thing. Who's ever heard of Tiger Woods? Tiger Woods said when he was a child, when he was young, if they asked his dad a question, his dad stopped everything, got down at his eye level, looked him right in the eye, and talked to him and had a discussion. You guys, especially in 6th graders, would that be a lot of fun if that always happened? But also with your friends. My daughter, when she's with one of her friends and her friend looks at the phone, she goes, "Put that stupid thing away, look me in the eye, and let's have a conversation." Because that's different. That's what we actually, by the way, that's how you overcome addictions. Addiction, the opposite of addiction is connection. We need to be, like a psychiatrist from the University of Utah said, we need to be playing outside with each other, having fun, talking to each other, and looking each other in the eye. But you go, "Well, I'm connected to my friends on Fortnite." No, that's electronic connection. That damages your brain. Here's another one. Screen time is making kids really crazy and lazy. Those of you with little brothers and sisters, is that true? Yes or no? Yes. The worst thing you can ever do to the child brain before 25 years old is look at electronics. All the science is coming out about this. By the way, guys, 2 other things. I'm from Utah where a lot of people don't drink, but I had a friend say this to his kids. If you're going to drink, at least wait till you're 25 years old, your brain becomes an adult brain, because you are damaging the myelin sheath around your brain, and it's going to impact you and your memory for the rest of your life. There are states that are now legalizing marijuana. Did you know that if you are on marijuana once a week, you have an 80% greater chance of a psychotic event after you're 30 years old? Does it look like the world's going nuts around us sometimes? Yeah. Well, you guys be the ones that start stopping them. Let me show you another one. Blue light has a dark side. So here's 3 problems really quick with electronics, and I hope you take this to heart. Number 1, every time you get an alert on your phone, you get hit with a stress hormone called cortisol. You're stressed out till you look at your phone. It's sitting right there so you can look at it just in case. Try not looking at it. Oh, the second thing that happens, blue light. The blue light damages your brain. It wreaks havoc with your frontal lobe, so we have an entire generation of ADHD. The brain can heal itself, but you got to get off electronics long enough. If you're off electronics long enough, your brain starts healing, and after 1 week, you actually get smarter. Your IQ actually gets better. You can learn better. Now, some of you go, "Well, yeah, but a lot of our electronics that's where we learn." The answer to that is what's called blue light filter glasses. Does anybody in this room have blue light filters already on your glasses? Okay. A year ago, I never saw anybody raise their hand. Next year, it'll be half of the audience. But guys, every optometrist some of these guys are begging the kids, please get the blue filter lenses for your eyes so it doesn't damage your brain. If you don't need glasses, Best Buy has them. 100% blue light blocking.
I have wear glasses and like when I take a picture, it would be blue, like the light would be blue in my glasses. Is that it?
I don't know. You have to see if they're actually blue logo. I don't know if those glasses particularly have it. One more thing, you guys. How interesting is this? Silicon Valley. These are the guys that invented all the electronics. They know what's going on. They have hired nannies to make sure their kids never see a TV screen, smartphone, iPad, any of them. Because how much time is too much time? Well, I don't know. How much time is too much time to be drinking at your age? None. You don't want to. It's damaging. So this is my daughter. Her name is Anna. And 2 years ago, my daughter, I got a phone call that she was on her way to the hospital because she had a plan to end her life. And I tell all the kids, if anybody ever has a plan as a kid, boom, they go right to an adult, right to the hospital. We found out for 4 years she was hiding depression. She looked like the happiest girl on the planet. Underneath it was all this pain. Well, she's doing way better now. But this is how I started learning about smartphones. Listen to what she says. I'm here with my daughter Anna, and this morning at breakfast she showed me what she just got. What did you just get?
A flip phone.
She has a flip phone. Why did you get a flip phone?
Because my smartphone was depressing me, and I felt it was affecting me. Because it just made me anxious, and I was addicted to it, and so I got to my flip phone. It's like,
And does it feel better?
much better. Love it.
There's a professor from the University of Texas, Raj. Okay, so if you want to know if you're addicted or not, here's some questions that came from a test. I'm anxious when I'm separated from my smartphone, tablet, or electronic for an extended period of time. Here's another question. I engage in arguments with friends and family about electronics. We only knew each other for 10 seconds and you were mad at me. Okay. When I'm not checking my smartphone, I fear missing out with what's going on. I lose track of time on my smartphone or electronics. If you can answer any of those, you might be addicted to electronics. And guys, you will feel better. You won't be as wound up if you can start weaning yourself off of it. So back to this question. Is it possible the connection is the answer to addiction? I'm going to show you what my coach showed me to help me calm down inside. Because he said, Bob, you need to get connected to other people by talking with them and listening, and you need to reflect and get connected to yourself. So I'm going to show you the part where he taught me how to listen to someone. Okay, question. Have you ever noticed that when somebody's talking to you, you're already thinking about what you're going to say next? Anybody ever see that happen? Okay, if you're thinking something while they're talking, human connection's been broken. Have you ever noticed that sometimes they're talking and you're waiting for them to take a breath so you can jump in? Hey, where are my athletes? Athletes. Okay, guys, have you ever gotten together as athletes and you're all one-upping each other? Oh, you thought your play was cool. Let me talk about my play. Your vacation, let me talk about, yeah, one-upping. That's another form of holding a thought in our mind. Here's another one. How many of you already know judgment's a connection killer? Judgment is a connection killer. If somebody's talking to me and I'm judging them or thinking they're an idiot or thinking whatever, human connection's been broken. And I'll tell you how I learned this one. My son is 30 years old, and he told me something he never told me before. And I said, Thomas, how come you never told me that before? He said, Dad, I don't know what's going on with you, but you're very accepting and don't judge anymore. But when I was a little boy, the way you judged Uncle Mike for not being smart enough or successful enough, I didn't feel safe to tell you anything. I learned that if I were to judge you right now, I just shut down everybody in the audience too. So judgment's a connection killer. So I learned how to have a discussion. When I ask a question, we try to pause, see what bubbles up, and then I wait 2 or 3 seconds at the end to see if they have more to say. So I need a volunteer who wants to have a discussion that can look in my eyes for 2 or 3 minutes without freaking out. Okay? Look, he's closer to the end. Let's go. Come on. All right, and we're going to go up on stage. What's your name? Ashley. My name's Bob. You'll be spelled forward back the same way. Right. Now, normally we do this sitting down, but we're just going to do it stand up. And all I want you to do is just to pay attention to the conversation. Try not to laugh about anything, but just to watch. All this is an exercise on how to connect, and then I'd like you to try this sometime with one of your friends or somebody you trust. Okay, Ashley, right? Okay, in this exercise, you're going to be looking in my eyes the whole time. You pick the left one. Okay, that seems to be a little bit stronger. I'm going to ask a question, and then you answer. I'll wait 2 or 3 seconds, and then I'm going to let you ask me a question like, what's something tough that's happened in my life, or ask me about one of my kids. Okay, something where I have to talk about it a little, okay? All right. So, do you want an easy question or a hard question? Okay, easy question. Okay. And then just very still, tell me about your favorite holiday and what happened that day that made it so special.
Christmas.
Okay, right here.
What made it so special was that family and they're there. It's just fun. That's all I'm gonna say.
Can you tell me about your favorite subject and why you like it so much?
What kind of subject?
School.
Ooh, that's a hard one. We're gonna be here. I gotta think about that.
Okay, then why don't you ask me a question?
Okay. What's your favorite subject?
Actually, what it seems that I spend all my time learning about now is psychology, because I was trying to heal myself and get out of the yuck that I was in. Because I know what yuck looks like. It's just your brain kind of just shuts down to protect itself. So I'm fascinated by that, and I can actually hang in there with PhDs. I've actually talked to a bunch of psychologists and psychiatrists and told them about my journey. Everybody gets a little bit of insight from the experiences of others. Okay, have you noticed that this conversation feels a little different than normal? Is it focusing in on my eye? Almost like I'm a cyclops, right? I did this with a former NFL football player, and when we started this, he was tearing up. And he said, I can't do this, there's too much pain behind my eyes. And I said, well, we don't have to, because you never force him to do something they want to do. And he hung in there. He was talking 200 miles an hour when we started. 15 minutes later, he's going, dude, you're blowing my mind. My thinking is so slow now. Did your thinking slow down a bit? Not really sure? Okay. By the way, this releases oxytocin in our brain. It's called the trust hormone. It's stronger than the dopamine of addiction. So is it possible that connection cures the addiction? Now, one question. Did anybody feel what we were feeling up here? Raise your hand if you did. Raise them high, because I'm curious. All right. And I don't know what that is, but connection just doesn't help the two people that are doing it. It helps everybody else who's involved. That's why being together, we're built for human connection. We're built to be with each other, to help each other. Thank you so much. By the way, guys, it takes great bravery. I've had a number of people who just couldn't do it, and I understand, because sometimes there's too much stuff going on behind. You have to be very trusting to have it. So try that with a friend of yours or with one of your parents. Okay, now, who would like to learn how to have less stress taking tests? 4 of you, good. Okay, the rest of you don't need this. Now, who could use some practice on being less stressed out? Raise your hands. Okay. So, we're going to talk about what's called movies of the mind. Here's how this works. Did you know your emotions are real? Listen carefully. Emotions are real, but many times they come from thoughts, and thoughts are not real. What do I mean by that? Everybody close your eyes and picture a little spider crawling across your face. Or a wasp is on your neck. Or you're back on the ship with all the snakes. Okay, open your eyes. Who got a little freaked out by the little spider? Okay, well, that's okay. All right, but guys, listen, question. Shh. Are there any spiders that you can see? No, it was just a what? A thought, and it wasn't real. Anybody have little wasps got freaked out? Okay, was there a wasp? No, it was just a what? Thought, and it's not. Here's one more example. Who's ever gone to the movies or the theaters and you're watching a scary movie and it's freaking you out? And then you go, well, wait a second, they're just actors and actresses. It's not. And then you feel better. Well, watch how this works, you guys. I was at American Fork, Utah, and there's a gal I know, because I know her family. The dad wanted me to talk to his daughter, who's a junior in high school. She's a superstar in soccer. Their soccer team won state the year before. So I'm sitting there talking to her in the living room on a Tuesday, and I said, so what's going on? She goes, I'm freaking out about our game on Saturday. I said, okay, why? I'm afraid I'm going to fall down. I'm afraid the coach is going to yell at me. I'm afraid we're going to lose. I'm afraid I'm going to embarrass myself. I said, okay, can I ask you a question? Who wants to be my soccer player? Gals? Okay, so let me ask you a question. Are you currently playing soccer on Saturday? Let me remind you, it's Tuesday. No. Did you fall down on Saturday?
No.
Did the coach yell at you on Saturday?
No.
Okay, so would you agree with me? You're playing a movie in your head, you're the only one who can see it, and it's freaking you out, and it's not real. Guys, is it real? Yes or no? Is it real? Yes or no? Yeah, and yeah, back to my athletes. Where's a football player? Okay, right here. Did you ever freak out about a game that was coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not real in that moment. So here's the question. Okay, I'm going to go to the football player. What's your name? Hunter. Okay, Hunter, let's pretend this is your football game coming up, right? I want you to picture that game on Saturday, and I want you to screw up and embarrass yourself, and I want you to be the reason that that team loses. How does that feel right now? Yeah, it doesn't feel real good right now. So here's the question that changed everything for me and changes for a lot of people. What would you experience right now sitting here without that movie playing in your head that's not even real? Wake up from the nightmare and be right here right now. What would it feel? How would you feel right now? Yeah. Without that movie playing in your head. You'd be fine. So the girl from American Fork High School, I asked her that question. What would you experience right now without that movie playing in your head? She looked at her dad and she said, I could be happy. And she went just like this. Oh my gosh, it's not real. I'm freaking out over movies and they're not real. And she got it in a moment. Guys, being in my 50s, it took me 3 months of reminding myself, because I kept finding myself in the future or the past. My daughter said, Dad, you were always with us, but you were never with us. Because my mind was there or it was there. All that's real is what's going on right now. So, I said, listen, every time you feel that anxiety in your stomach, or you maybe some heaviness here, or you're tensed up about thoughts of the future or thoughts of the past, it's coming from a movie and it's not
Real.
So a few minutes later, this gal got angry. She started getting mad. I said, how come you're mad? You know what my sister said to me 2 days ago? And then she started laughing. I said, why are you laughing? She goes, it's not real. It happened 2 days ago. The only way for me to be mad is to play a movie in my head, and it's not real. So she's running around American Fork High School going, thoughts aren't real, thoughts aren't real. They don't get it, but she gets it, and her nervousness seemed to go away because she's in the present instead of the past and the future. So, in being in the present, let me just share something with you guys. I want to propose that you are the diamond. Okay? You're the diamond in the middle, and maybe you can't see it right now because there's 2 layers of stuff outside of the diamond. So, this is who we really are. We're perfect, happy, calm, and loving. Maybe that's who we really are. Now, let me tell you why I think that might be the case. When I learned deep listening, my coach said, I want you to go have a discussion with somebody who's greater than you and lesser than you. I go, what do you mean? Well, somebody you think has got their life better and somebody who's worse, whatever. I went and had a 30-minute discussion with the president of New York Life of all of Hawaii. He agreed. We had a 30-minute discussion looking into each other's eyes. Then I went down on the street and sat next to somebody who was homeless. I sat down and I looked him in the eye and we had a discussion for 30 minutes. I called my coach. He said, what did you learn, Bob? I said, I learned that there is no one who's greater or lesser than us. We're all in this together. We're all made of the same stuff. I said, why didn't you just tell me that? He said, you needed to see it for yourself. You guys, 5 months ago, I was at the Utah State Prison talking to 100 inmates. And I got to this part of my presentation and I was looking at the inmates. I said, you know what? A lot of you guys came up to me and said, what an honor. We're so honored you would come and speak to us. I said, you guys, you got it all wrong. I'm honored that you would listen to my story, that I might be helpful to you. I can see who you really are. You're already a great work. Maybe you made mistakes, oh well, but you're a great work. One of the prisoners came up to me afterwards and said, if the guards could see us the way you see us as real people, we would never have a problem in here. Is it possible that if we start looking at each other's eyes, that would get rid of a lot of conflict on this planet? But we can't see who we really are because there's a layer of crap on the outside. Here's what it is. This is what we think is wrong with us. Guilt, insecurity, shame, addiction, self-loathing, selfishness. By the way, they're all just what? Thoughts, and they're not. Oh, then there's one more layer. The masks we wear to be socially acceptable, which are people-pleasing, conformity, status symbols, flattery. They're all just what? And they're not. So you know what? Sometimes in that quiet time that you have, maybe you're in the shower, maybe you were riding your bike, maybe you're lifting weights, it gets really quiet, and you see that every once in a while. The calmer your mind gets, the more you'll be able to see who you really are. All right, so let's talk about complaining for a second. If you don't like something in your life, change it, leave it, or accept it. All else is complaining and being a victim. How do you change it? How many of you want to learn how to be less lazy? I was really lazy. Did you know that there are ways to build things in your brain that will make you less lazy and you can get things done you normally wouldn't do? It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Everybody go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
This is from Mel Robbins. There's actually neuroscience behind this. Every time you have a success, it builds a neural pathway in your brain, and you're more likely to do something you don't feel like doing. So has anybody ever been in bed and your alarm goes off and you hit the snooze? And then you hit the snooze? And then your mom's yelling at you? And you hit the... Okay, how about this? Tomorrow morning, test it. When that alarm goes off and you hear your mom or dad say, hey, get out of bed, go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and jump out of bed. You've just began building a neural pathway. Who's ever had a goal to run 5 miles and just never got around to it? Anybody? Okay. So you set what is called the big, hairy, audacious goal, which is a bunch of baloney. It just sells a lot, okay? Jamie DeNovo wrote the book, The I Am Possible Muscle. How likely would it be if you set a goal to put on one sock tomorrow morning that you could do it? You do it, right? So here's how you do it. You put on the one sock and go, yes, got the sock on. When you ran that, if you ran 5 miles, your brain would reward you for having achieved a goal. Putting that one sock on will give you the same reward as running the 5 miles. So the next day you set a goal to put on 2 socks. Then the next day you set a goal to put on your whole suit. The next day you get to the end of the driveway and you're going to find yourself running 5 miles way faster than just trying to set that big, hairy, audacious goal. So give that a shot. All right, now let's have a little bit of fun to wrap this up. You guys, when I was in high school, I got a job at the Holiday Inn as a maintenance helper. Before the first day, my mother pulled me aside and says, young man, listen carefully. Most people work just hard enough to not get fired. That will not be you. Most people work in slow motion and try to get as little done. That will not be you. If you want to be lazy your whole life, just practice lazy now. When he asks you to do something, you run. You don't walk, you run. Do it as quickly as you can and get back and say what's next. Now, my mother was Italian, so I listened to her. She said, one more thing. Make it fun wherever you are. Too many people are waiting for something in the future to have fun. She goes, life is fun in the present. So, I got there to work the first day. The guy gives me a task. I run. I do it. I run back. He gives me another task. I run and run back, run and run back, run and run back. He gets sick of me. He takes me outside. Pal, sweep the parking lot. You know how big the parking lot is around a hotel? All the way around the hotel? I said, which part? He said, all of it. He walks back inside, said to one of the other guys inside, this will keep him out of my hair for 2 weeks. So I'm out there, I got my broom, and I'm thinking, how can I make this fun? I'll time myself. I'll time myself. How long does it take me to go from one end of the parking lot to the other? And I timed myself. And then I spent the rest of the afternoon trying to break my record. You guys, it didn't take 2 weeks, it took 2 days. I walked back inside, and the son goes, what are you doing in here? I'm done. He goes, you're done with what? The parking lot. He said, which part? I said, all of it. And then he came outside with me, and we walked around that entire hotel, and at the end he put his arm around me, and he says, pal, you're going to have to slow down. You're making us look bad here. He retired as the maintenance man of that Holiday Inn, and there's nothing wrong with it, except I know he hated his job and he was miserable, but he was chained and handcuffed by the habits he created when he was younger. You guys, you can change your brains, especially right now, and start practicing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and doing those little goals. This is my son, Bobby. He's holding on to my MacBook Pro. Take a look. MacBook Pro. Spinning MacBook Pro. I'm hoping his frontal lobe completely develops one day. But you know what? Now my kids teach me lessons. It's amazing. In fact, my daughter, 17 years old, I remember the day she walked in and said, Dad, do you know what I learned today? It's not my job to make other people happy. It's called codependence. I didn't know that until I was in my 40s. Well, Bobby, when he got into college, he wanted to get into the School of Finance. Now, it was very competitive at Brigham Young University. He didn't make it. He was halfway down the list. So here's what he did. He remembered that if you want something, go get it. So he showed up at the dean's door, knocked on the door, didn't have an appointment. He says, hi, my name's Bobby Cattell. And he said, Dad, I talked to him for 30 minutes. At the end of 30 minutes, I left. And he said, the next day, the administrative assistant for him called me and said, I don't understand. You're halfway down the list, but somebody just dropped out of the School of Finance. The dean asked me to call you first. Do you want that spot? My son goes, geez, Dad, this stuff you talk about really works. So the next year, he needed an internship in finance. So he went to the dean. He said, sir, who would be the very best person to work for in the entire state of Utah in finance? He goes, well, Bobby, for an internship, there's a guy that handles all of Papa John's money. It's private equity. He says, but it's too late. He takes 2 guys a year. You got to have a 4.0 GPA. It's too late. Bobby goes, great, can I have his email? Now this dean knew my son, so he says, sure, here's his email. Let me know how that goes. Bobby emailed him every single day for 2 weeks. Is there persistence there, you guys? At the end of 2 weeks, he didn't get a response. He goes back to his professor. Sir, I think his email doesn't work. Can I have his private cell number? He goes, Bobby, I can't give you his private cell number. Bobby goes, sure you can. The dean goes, sure I can. And he gave it to him. He says, tell me how that works out for you. Bobby called him, and the guy was screaming at him. And Bobby knows, well, the guy's in pain. It's okay. Wait until he's done screaming. And then he says, fine, send me your resume. Email it to me. So Bobby emailed him his resume. He waited 2 days, and then he started emailing him again. And wasn't getting a response, so he called him again. Sir, I really don't think your email works. The guy goes, you gotta be kidding me. Get in your car right now. I want to meet the most persistent kid ever to come out of that university. Bobby went up there. He was visiting with him. The guy finally says, geez, Bobby, I like you, but I've already hired 2 guys. Bobby goes, whoa. How about a 3rd guy, and you don't have to pay me a thing? He goes, what? He said, yeah, the professor said you would be the best person to learn from. I'm just here to learn. He says, fine, I'm going to work your tail off. Bobby says, go for it. A few months later, he let the other 2 guys go and offered my son a full-time job after he graduated. Guys, if there's something you want, don't sit back waiting for it. You go for it. And you will then do this. How many of you have little brothers and sisters? You will become the example to those that follow you. When his little sister, 5 years later, turned 18 years old, she just wanted to work at Costco. So she went down to Costco. They said, we're not hiring. Oh, okay. She came back the next day. We're not hiring. She started to get to know the lady. She came back the next day. 11 days in a row, she was told, we're not hiring. The 12th day, she got a phone call from Costco. Anna, somebody just quit. Get down here really quick. The job is yours. Go get it. Okay, I'm going to skip this part. Goals. I'm going to finish off with 2 more stories, and then we're done. How many of you have set goals? Okay. By popular demand. So I put together a thing for going for it, but here it is. So in my 40s, I thought, let's try a backflip, so I did. In my 50s, I thought, let's try some crazy dives to keep up with my kids. This is a 1.5 twisty double front, so I did. In my 50s, I thought, let's take the kids to the indoor screen time. That's my daughter when she was 8 years old, so I did. And I thought I want to fly solo. I made sure my friend did it first so I knew it was safe. So I did. And then finally, I thought, let's dance on stage and see what happens. This is very embarrassing. So I did. Try something new today, and you can say, so I did. That's not really how a pole vault looks, but that was the way he did. Okay. Goals. Where's my, Tamara? Where are you? Tamara. Oh, can I have my phone? I need it for goals. I have my goals on there. So you guys, somebody once said, oh, there's all kinds of things about goals, but I'm just going to read you some of my high school and college goals so you have an idea of what I went through. So I had a goal in high school to be the halfback on the football team. Found out I was too slow. No. Fullback, still too slow. No. Wide receiver, you've got to be kidding me. No. Distance running. Anybody run distance? I lasted for 3 minutes. That would be a no. Pole vault. Now I like the pole vault, so I set a goal to get the state record in New York. No. Western New York record. No. Got to college, set a goal to get a scholarship. I missed those field goals. No. Joni, no. Vivian, no. Susan, no. Karen, no. Kathy, no. 4.0 GPA, no. 3.5 GPA, no. I'm going to stop right there with the GPA. First business, no. Second business, no. Lynn, no. Cindy, no. Cynthia, no. Becky, no. Becky, no. Becky, no. I didn't have much luck with Becky. I did this with the Denver Broncos, and one of the players said, and you're a motivational speaker? Well, here's what I learned about goals, you guys. When you set a goal, it's having the courage to do something, to get up off your butt and start moving in a direction like down that corridor. And here's what you'll find out. If you are moving down that corridor, you're going to see other doors of opportunity you would have never known about had you not headed toward that first goal. I had a goal to be the halfback on the football team. It didn't work out. But one day the coach said, let's see if you can kick a football. I didn't know I could kick 60-yard field goals. That got me into college. I set a goal to get a scholarship. It didn't work out. But one day I realized I had a master's degree from a major university. By the way, Division I football, they usually only take one kicker to the away games because they can only travel with so many athletes. I was the backup kicker. I didn't get to go. I found out that there was a squad that got to go to all the away games. It was the cheer squad. I tried out. I made it. I'm the guy at the bottom. That's why my back hurts to this day. I went to our head coach. Coach, you'll never believe this. I made the cheer squad. He goes, you're right. I don't believe it. Coach, is there any chance I could put my equipment under the stadium just in case the starting kicker gets hurt? It had never been done before, but he agreed to it. Well, I never did get in again, but when I graduated, I could still kick 60-yard field goals. And I thought, I should try out for pro football. Now, are there a lot of negative people in the world? Yes or no? Are there people who say, you can't do it, that can't be done, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard? Guys, stay away from that. Okay, you don't need it until you're strong enough that you can lead others out of that mediocrity. I didn't go to somebody negative. I went to my older, wiser mentor. You seniors, go find a mentor right now. Somebody who's older and wiser, that's the person you want to be one day. If they won't be your mentor, they weren't meant to be a mentor anyway. I went to a guy who was a multi-millionaire. He was very positive. He would sit down with me anytime I wanted. And by the way, to this day, I still see him every single month. He's now in his late 70s. So I went up to Rick Farr and I said, hey, Rick, I'm thinking of trying out for pro football. What do you think? He says, Bob, go for it. You can't lose. And I said, what do you mean I can't lose? He said, pal, there are two attributes of every successful person. Listen carefully. One, they were persistent. And two, they all failed. He said, do you know how many people think failure is a bad thing? It's your failures that teach you success. Bob, go for it. And if you fail, fantastic. You will learn great things that will help you the rest of your life. And if you succeed and you become a pro football kicker, fantastic. You're young. You'll fail later. You should be okay. But you got to be prepared. And that's what you guys are doing right now, preparing. It's better to be prepared and not get the opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. For the next 6 months, I kicked 100 footballs a day, ran 8 to 10 miles a day, ran stairs. I lifted weights, but I had one problem. You got to have an agent to represent you in pro football. I couldn't get an agent to talk to me. I was a cheerleader when I graduated. Here's the other miracle of life. As you are heading down that corridor, there are people that will come out of the woodwork, people you don't even know, and they will open up doors for you. One day, one of the other football players saw me on campus. He says, Bob, the coach for Denver is down in the football office right now. Go talk to him. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. No excuses. After 5 seconds, you make excuses. I went right down there. I walk in, there he is, surrounded by these all-American football players, and this is exactly how the conversation went. From the other corner, I went, hey, coach, you guys looking for a kicker? The players turned around and looked at me like, dude, are you nuts? I don't worry about what other people think. It takes too much energy to think for 2 people. The coach smiled. He goes, well, we've already signed 4 kickers for campus here. Oh, awesome. What would it take to sign a 5th kicker? He smiled again. He goes, well, you'd have to be pretty darn good. Oh, coach, look out the window. You see that field goal post out there on the practice field? I can kick over the top of that from 50 yards, and it'll clear the field goal post, and we'll clear the fence, and we'll hit the cars. Then I'll go back and kick off. They'll probably go through the field goal post on the kickoff. And then I said this, that's pretty darn good, isn't it? And you guys, I was even surprised when he smiled. He goes, okay, 2 o'clock, I'll give you 15 minutes. He came out, he watched me kick. I nailed everything up to 60 yards. He signed me on the spot. I went to camp, and on the 3rd day of camp, I got cut. Yeah, I never got into pro football. I was doing this for one high school. One of the kids goes, so why did you tell us this stupid story? I said, well, did I just waste my life for that 6 months? Yeah. I go, that's not my experience. You see, at the beginning of the journey, it was like being in a valley looking at a mountain, and everyone told me, you will never get into camp. And you know what? 6 months later, I found I was standing on higher ground. I had learned all kinds of things that set up me for success in the future. Guys, what you get by reaching your goal isn't nearly as important as what you will become by reaching for it. Final message, ready to go. Everybody take your fist like this and squeeze. Now, can you imagine just holding on like that all day, how tense that would be? Now just let it go. This is a lesson that I learned years ago. It was before Movies of the Mind, but I want to share it with you. I had a business going all over the country teaching college students how to memorize, and I was making lots of money, very successful, until my best friend for years, who was working with me, broke into my home, took some things, and destroyed my business. Who's ever been betrayed? That doesn't feel good, does it? Well, I was tipped. And I had evidence that he had broken into my home, and I took it down to the police station, and I was pressing charges, and I was going to get this guy. But I had one problem. Like I said, it was before Movies of the Mind. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And it kept playing in my head, making me more and more stressed and worried. And finally, be the student. Something you don't like, be the student, find your teacher, make it happen. I went to my older, wiser mentor again. I said, I don't understand. He did this to me. Why am I suffering so much? He said, Bob, can I ask you something? If you get him locked up and you embarrass him, is that going to save your business? I go, no, the damage has already been done. He says, well, why are you pressing charges if it doesn't matter? I said, you gotta be kidding me. Somebody's gotta teach him a lesson. Somebody's gotta make it right. Somebody's sound familiar to anyone? And here's what my wise mentor said. Bob, that's revenge. And revenge is taking poison and hoping the other person dies. Bob, you don't have to listen to me, but my advice to you is let this go. Quit carrying it. If you will let this go, great doors will open in your future, but you gotta let this go. Well, it resonated. I go, okay, I'm gonna do that. But I couldn't do it. I got madder and madder. And 2 weeks later, I finally came back to him and I said, I've been trying to let it go. I can't. He goes, what are you thinking about? I'm thinking about how my business has been destroyed. My brother can't work with me anymore. I'm not making any money. He goes, Bob, wait a second. He was your best friend. You don't have any other thoughts? And then it hit me. 3 months before I graduated with my bachelor's degree, a few years earlier, I ran out of money, ran out of food, and he handed me $1,500 cash and said, here's your graduation present in advance. I'm proud of you that you're getting your degree. And then I started remembering all the good things that he had ever done, and I watched all the hatred just melt away. So I called him up and I said, hey, I dropped the charges, I give you the business, I wish you the best of luck. My friend thinking something was up says, what is it you really want? I said, you know what I really want? I just want my friend back. So there are people that told me I was an idiot for dropping the charges and letting it go. I'll tell you why I disagree and think I made the right decision. He was killed 1 year later in a car crash. And when I got the news, the thought came to mind, aren't you glad you let it go? So maybe that's the one message somebody needed to hear today. Maybe you're holding a grudge against somebody in your family, a friend, a coach, a teacher. Maybe you're mad at the way life's turned out so far. Maybe you're mad at God. Maybe you can't forgive yourself. My advice to you is let it go. I promise there's good things to come. How many of you think that's a pretty good idea? Okay, John Wooden, the great basketball coach at UCLA, said this. I'm not what I should be. I'm not what I could be. I'm not what I'm going to be. But I'm grateful I'm not what I used to be. Be the student, find your teacher, make it happen. Hey, it's been an honor. Thank you so much, you guys. Good luck to you.